Hello everybody, welcome back to my video. This is part 5 of the Chris Chan documentary series for YouTube. I'm not going to say the word, I can't pronounce it. um, it's so interesting, and at the end of the video I actually will be showing my little interview I had. Kind of an interview. I actually got to meet and discuss with Megan about the events that happened with Chris back like 15 years ago. I got a hold of her and I spent the whole morning talking to her about it, and it was very interesting, very fun. And I was honestly kind of starstruck because I'm so invested in this, and I know who she is now. And I got some of her side of the story, and I got some of her perspective on things, and it's not at all what I thought it would be. So, yeah, I'm very excited to be doing this. So. Before we begin, please don't forget to subscribe, help your dude out, and let's go ahead and get into the episode. Part 5 of Christian Weston Chandler.
What made him this way? What is the attraction? What keeps us fascinated? This is the story of Chris Chan.
It also seems that my beanie's doing this whole thing with the green screen right now, so I do apologize. I think it's kind of cool though. It's kind of cold, so I figured I need to wear a beanie.
Less than a week after Christian's Encyclopedia Dramatica page was created, someone updated it by uploading an infamous internet-based photograph called Goatsy, which graphically depicts a naked man stretching his anus with his fingers snugly within his rectum, dilating his orifice to an inhumane diameter. This upset Chris so gravely that he took it upon himself to edit the page to make himself appear more appealing. For example, a paragraph noting his racism was changed to, "Oh yeah, he's also old-fashioned. In his idea of a sweetheart, she is not black. He is cool with adoption, but his dream of his future daughter calls for blood, tears, and seminal descent." Not only did he reword sentences and correct historical inaccuracies, but he also extensively added personal information, a tactic which he called information overload. While his intention was to evoke sympathy, it only succeeded in fueling the fire for the trolls. In a way to reassert his heterosexuality, he uploaded several of his own sexually charged drawings, such as one of Sonichu and Rosechu having intercourse, a naked Mary Lee Walsh masturbating, Bubbles and Black Sonichu having sex, and an image called "She Came for Quick," which depicted Christian satisfying an unidentified naked woman with his fingers.
I actually know this is Megan. Everybody knows this is Megan. And I did talk to her a little bit if I remember, I think I did talk to her about this. I was trying to be respectful in the whole little interview thing and not like get too much into her personal business, if you know what I mean. Because I understand it's kind of traumatic. And even though she kind of acted like it wasn't, and maybe the internet kind of blew it up, I don't know. But I'm just going to go with what she told me, because you know it's the person herself. Um, and it is very creepy, but goddamn, Chris.
Those exposed to the pictures felt that the woman bore a striking resemblance to his twin sister, Crystal, and were convinced that it was an illustration of incest. The fact that he captioned the image with, "Your sister has come for me," didn't help. Outside of his illustrations, he reflected on his obsession with Megan, admitting that he no longer pined for her, and talked about pleasuring himself using his inflatable sex doll, Officer Nasty. He restated his purpose. "I will continue to shove the true facts from my heart and soul down your throats, only until you take this whole page down for good." Chris would go on creating new accounts and further altering the page for the next few years. As the year drew to a close, Christian bought an anime-styled sex doll named Kimmy and continued to email Megan, telling her that he would meet Lori soon. And on New Year's Eve, he sent an email to a friend of Megan's, which contained a new freestyle poem called "For My True Love, I Would. For my true love, I treat her tenderly, sweetly, gently, like a summer breeze."
And that's another thing I wanted to say too. She is like an absolute doll. I really had a good time messaging her and conversating with her about this whole thing. She was very polite. She's very kind. She's a little funny too. she seemed like a really cool person. So I kind of feel bad for her. Actually, it's not even kind of. I do feel bad for this woman, but like I said, she kind of acted like it wasn't really a big deal. So
I'd caress her skin gently with my strong fingers. I'd take her to eat and provide for her to my ability. I'd start small at McDonald's, then let it get better in due time. If she is willing to allow the pleasure, I lay her down, caress her gently, tickle her fancy, have her tickle my fancy, and give it to her with the learned, lonely experience I've endured. I love you will be shared daily with a French side dish. I am her soldier, to do for her as she sees fit. In January 2008, Chris created a Facebook account, which he used much in the same manner as his other social media outlets, such as
My dude.
MySpace. He managed to befriend several women in his general vicinity and tried engaging in conversations with them.
I
Hi,
don't know what
Christina.
my green
I've
screen
read
is
your
doing. I do
profile and I find
apologize.
you quite interesting. You're pretty, honest, and smart. If you'd like, I'd like to meet you for a soda or coffee and get to know you better over a pleasant conversation. I also hope you will accept my friend request I have submitted earlier. Please reply if it's all cool. Okay, well, I'm 17 and about to be 18 in a few months, but yeah, I love to party and all that good so hit me up. Cool, Christina. While I don't know what it means to hit me up, I'll assume it means to talk to you more. I look forward to meeting you in person and learning more about you. And if you need a tutor for a school subject, I can probably help you. I've excelled in math and English subjects. Y yo tomo apostrophe e dos años de espa tilde nol en mi escuela secundaria. And I took 2 years of
It's kind
Spanish
of
in my
creepy,
high
dude.
school.
She's like, you're like
Take care,
25 right now.
Christian. Okay, yeah, well, here's the thing. First of all, I'm 17 and you're too old. And second of all, you know you're too old for me. And third of all, I'm not into all that Christian but I would still love to be friends with you. And I don't know very many Christians who like to party, because I'm a hardcore party girl, so I just wanted to be friends with you. I'd wait until you were at least 18 before taking it further. Also, I can party, I just don't get invited much. There's nothing wrong with simply meeting for a pleasant conversation and soda pop. I promise I will not lay a finger on you. Okay, well, a little FYI, I'm on probation and house arrest, and I might get locked up tomorrow for breaking my probation, so let's just take it day by day. I mean, I don't know you at all, and people might talk about me hanging with some older dude who I don't know. But I do hang at DQ, Dairy Queen, every day after school, so drop by and see if you can
Oh my
find me.
god, this
Follow
is
boy.
like some Chris
After
Hansen
Christian
shit.
sent another message divulging more details about himself, communication with Christina ceased. He also engaged in a chat with Christy, who accepted his invitation for a chat over coffee or soda, but he ultimately declined her acceptance when she revealed that she was a single mother. He also messaged a Danielle, whose boyfriend in response threatened Chris. On January 20th, Christian pleaded on Facebook for people not to believe what has been written on Encyclopedia Dramatica. There are some cyberbullies who have taken my words and feelings out of context and twisted them into meaningless mockery. Please do not believe those terrible rumors. I am a good man who needs a female sweetheart to soothe my pains from loneliness, stress of social influences, and heartaches. Please help me, so I can help you one day.
Oh my god, see, this really hits me too because, like, whenever, I'm not like this now, obviously, but when I was 21, 22, 23, I was, like, in this really deep state of being lonely, and I just was always like, I need a girl. I need to find a girlfriend. And I would put up these little ads. I'm telling you, dudes, like, I really feel like I could have been Christian in, like, another universe, and this is why it hits me so hard. It's so fucking trippy. It's like looking in a mirror, but the mirror's like looking back at you, and you know it's looking at you. I don't know how to describe it. It really freaks me out, but it's like fascinating, you know. This really could have been me. I acted kind of like this without being the creepy autistic part. I didn't do that. I wasn't like up in the girls' DMs, just like, you know, not taking no for an answer and hitting up 17-year-olds. But goddamn,
4 days later, he described his near encounter with a lady at the Alderman Library. I was playing Sudoku on my PSP, and I was listening in on this conversation between a couple of cute ladies just to my right. I've enjoyed just listening to them talk about their things. I will not divulge any details, because I am the man who will keep a secret. Plus, I don't know all the details.
you should have
Anyway,
said that
after one
first.
of the two left, the gal that stayed sitting next to me talked on her cell in what sounded like Dutch or German. It was the perfect opening for a conversation towards making a new gal pal. I had it in my head. Pardon me, I couldn't help but overhear your chat on your phone, but was that Dutch or German you were speaking? I had the nerve set up. I was raring to say it, but when I started to say it, The tension and my shyness and my autism choked me, literally. I couldn't even open my mouth to say anything. And she left. I'm kicking myself now. Anyway, this is how shy I am. I'm so shy that I just freeze or choke upon starting to talk to a new girl I don't know yet.
I did not have that
Through his
issue.
Facebook updates, we also learned that
I
he
can just talk
regularly
to
attended
anybody.
Grace Baptist Church in Charlottesville. Since Chris was told that Lori Lopez was going to go out with Joshua Martinez instead of Chris, he edited the ED page in order to convince the trolls to ruin Joshua's reputation instead. Look, pal, if you really want to take down someone who has a reputation, consider one Joshua Martinez. The ladies come a-running from at least as far as New York City to his house in Dyke, Virginia. Not just any ladies, but stars like Megan Fox, Jessica Alba, Jessica Biel, Jessica Simpson, and plenty other whores. He also has been piggybacking on the stardom of Vanessa Hudgens, singing with her in her Latino albums, and starring with her in various HBO movies, and even worse, Transformers 2. He has her and some other gal named Brittany for both his simultaneous girlfriends. Dual marriage in the works here. He's a more lucky SOB than I can ever surmount to. Ruin his reputation. Joshua Martinez. P.S. You did not hear this whole thing from me. In March, becoming increasingly troubled at all the attention Chris has been receiving, Megan requested that he take down all references to her on the internet. However, it was too late. She discovered that she came for Quick Pick and recognized the woman in it to be herself, and confronted Chris. I didn't realize how much of an a-hole I could have been. I was caught up in the rage from that weekend in November when I did that. I couldn't even see straight. But I have done what I should have done long ago, inform AOL, as well as other places on the web who can take down offensive websites and pages. I've really shot myself in the foot, and I am sorry. Not only am I mad at myself for being such a complete enraged a-hole, but my rage against those jerks who put that page up in the first place arose with greater flame because my closest friend got hurt emotionally. That's you. I will see to that website's demise, or my name isn't Christian Weston Chandler. Megan, I'm sorry for hurting you. Megan, I'm sorry for hurting you. Megan, I'm sorry for hurting you. Thinking that repeating that phrase was enough recompense for Megan, his next email focused on Christian's investigation on who took the picture of him at the game place, launching this entire campaign of hate against him. In response, Megan wrote about her shock concerning her depiction. I'm very much scarred by that image, and it will never leave me. And I can't decide what's worse, the image in general, or the fact you intentionally drew it and gave it to the webmaster for that site that you hate so much. Not only have you poured gas on the fire by doing that, adding obscenity to the already horrific sight, but you have also embarrassed and humiliated me, and degraded and demeaned me, whether you realize it or not. Okay, well look, I'm unsure how I feel and what to do, so here's what I think. I'd like for you to just completely leave me alone for a while, until I can sort things out myself. You understand? It's not like I hate you, but I don't see you in the same light anymore. So just leave me be for a while. Let me try to recuperate with my few other friends, and maybe we can just start from scratch sometime. Maybe, I don't know. Just depends on how I feel, okay? So please let me be, and let me see how it goes, okay? Completely misunderstanding her point, Chris thought that the drawing upset her so because she was naive about sex and didn't truly understand what was happening, ironically revealing his own ignorance regarding sex. You may or may not have had much exposure to sexual images as I've had, so the idea of a hand job, which was the act drawn there, as part of outercourse versus intercourse, was a surprise to you. I'm sorry.
Megan, I am so
If it helps
sorry.
put things into
I'm
perspective,
so
I can
fucking sorry.
recommend finding information on the internet through this educational website I found through adameve.com, or I recommend renting The 40-Year-Old Virgin. That movie touches on some of the issues around sex, and how it can really frustrate an older virgin who hasn't had the pleasure yet. Or I can loan you my copy of The 40-Year-Old Virgin. The point is allowing yourself more exposure to sex acts to make yourself feel more comfortable with that fact of life. In addition, he defended his actions. And as for the drawings, while I have shoved the text information down their throat in an attempt to drown them in submission, there were too many images of penises, yuck, on there. I drew drawings promoting vaginas to go against those dickheads. I did the drawing of Sonichu, Rosichu. I did the drawing of Bubbles getting it from Black Sonichu. I had the idea of pairing them up in the comic book anyway. I did the drawings of Angelica and Marilee Walsh, that witch hag, masturbating. And I did draw the drawing of me giving you a hand job, from among my adult fantasies, with your eyes censored to conceal your identity. It was a massive step outside my boundaries, and I did it out of anger, and I regret having done it, and I'm really, really sorry. But we all do things in the heat of anger and or out of our boundaries that we end up regretting later. He proceeded to remove all references to Megan from the ED page, including replacing the lewd drawing of her with a close-up of her groin. By Christian's reasoning, this succeeded in masking the true identity of the woman in question, even though everyone apart from Chris and Megan still assumed it to be his hypothetical sister. He also felt it appropriate to upload the cover of his fictitious PlayStation game, Christian Weston Chandler's Adult Chronicles. Megan understandably took issue with his latest development. Okay. So instead of removing that one completely, you just enlarged my crotch. Thanks a lot. Why didn't you just remove it? Well, I'm sorry, but that just makes me more angry in a way. It's not that actual sex act that traumatizes me. It's the fact that you fantasize doing such things to me when you know I would never. It's like, how do I know you're not going to abduct me and such? That was a figure of speech. You know what I mean? It creeps me out you have such thoughts about me. It's like you're stalking me, so you really need to back off. P.S. I think it's rather amusing how you complain of these people defiling you. Yes, many posts are ridiculous, but you have defiled Mary Lee Walsh and our wonderful security officers who are simply doing their job. Then you defiled me and lied about it. You need to stop with this mindset that the whole world's against you and start taking some responsibility for once. Example, it's wrong to hate these people when you broke the rule by soliciting or loitering. Hey, at least they're doing their job, and I support that. In a rare moment of maturity, Chris sent an email to the Wikimedia Foundation, asking if it were possible for them to take down the page due to the culture of bullying it produced, only to be told that Encyclopedia Dramatica was not part of Wikimedia, and thus they were helpless in the matter. Chris once again emailed Megan berating ED, upset that the authors of the page assumed that the woman was his imaginary sister, who shared the name of his imaginary daughter, hence theorizing that Christian wanted to impregnate his mother so he could successfully have intercourse with his daughter, who was also his sister. He also revealed that drawing that image may have in fact prevented something even more heinous. As for the drawing itself, I realized that it was done not only out of inspired fantasy, angst against ED, and love for you, but also a major release from my crazy, mixed-up hormones. If I didn't have the foresight to put my pent-up frustrations and feelings in the form of something, I might have become an abusive maniac. So thank God for allowing me to release my bottled-up frustrations in a more positive, yet not so politically correct, and not physically hurting others method.
So what, are we gonna fucking rape her?
If they ignore the webpage, the trolls will lose interest and forget about them. In the meantime, disgusted by everyone accusing him of having incestuous desires, Chris made it explicitly clear that the woman in the drawing was in fact his friend Megan, adding the phrase, drawing pictures of himself having sex with his imaginary twin sister, to drawing pictures of himself having sex with his lost sailor soldier, Megan, who dumped his sorry ass for drawing the pic of him f***ing her. She never even had any inkling of interest in him. What a intolerable sad sack loser. But there was nothing more he could do to save their relationship. By the end of April, Megan had severed all ties with Chris. As a result of his adoration for her, he had created a veritable shrine for Megan, comprised of her own drawings that she gave him, figurines, pictures, and other media which were inspired by his desire for her. Over the coming years, the shrine slowly dissipated. As an expression of humility, he uploaded an image gallery called You Know What? I Hate Me Too onto his ED page, which comprised of a selection of images from his comics wherein he depicted himself as getting beaten up, downtrodden, or looking unflattering. What's more, the pastor at his church discovered his online activities and subsequently expelled Christian from Grace Baptist Church. But he soon found refuge in Wesley Memorial United Methodist Church. To add insult to injury, Michael Snyder, the manager of the game place, banned Chris from the store for 2 weeks, most likely due to his frequent outbursts of racism towards the African American children and the temper tantrums he threw whenever he lost, which eventually resulted in a drop in patronage. Seemingly moving on from the events of the previous 2 months, Chris uploaded a gallery of photos onto the Adult Swim message boards of his Rock Band guitar controller, which he custom painted in the theme of the cartoon character Meatwad from the Adult Swim show Aqua Teen Hunger Force. On May 11th, he was officially baptized at the Wesley United Methodist Church. In June, troubles with Chris at the game place escalated to the point that Michael Snyder permanently banned him from the establishment. In retaliation, Christian called over his parents, so Snyder called the police, as he was well within his rights to refuse service to anyone he saw fit. After this expulsion, the only form of regular social interaction he had left were his church activities. On June 25th, Brittany, who was someone who had become aware of Christian's antics online, wrote a lengthy email addressed to him in the hopes of convincing him to change his ways and move beyond always using his autism as a crutch. In July, Chris sent an email to someone he knew from the game place, letting him know that he had sent a letter of apology to Michael Snyder, but to no avail. In early August, Christian uploaded another video addressing the trolls who were dragging his name through the mud, and blamed ED for the end of his relationship with Megan, threatening to cease publication of the upcoming Sonichu issue 7 until the page was taken down. Throughout the video, he used his glasses and hands for cartoon-like theatrics to dramatically emphasize his message.
Citizens of the internet, I present an open message to each and every one of you. Y'all should know me by now, but if you don't, I am Christian Weston Chandler, the original creator of Sonichu, the Electric Hedgehog Pokemon, back on March 17th, 2000. Any days earlier are void. I have a whole bunch of people on the internet give me hate, show me a lot of hate, and I do not appreciate it. Takes me off. Y'all think I'm just a sap, a chump, dumbass, whatever you may think. But you know what? You, every last one of you who has expressed hate against me, you're the shitheads.
He once again reiterates that he is not a homosexual.
Every one of you who thinks I'm homo, who calls me that, because I am not, I'm straight. I'm straight. You're the homos. Every last one of you.
He expresses his disgust for the pornographic images others have uploaded to the ED page, stating that he prefers vaginas, referring to them by the euphemism China.
The hatred I'm getting from every last one of you who has contributed to that Encyclopedia Dramatica webpage, and every other forum, internet document, lewdly drawn pictures with dicks. I love dykes. Dykes. China. I'm straight. If I see a dick, I just look away with a moment of being freaked out.
You know, for somebody who's so homophobic, he likes
He
lesbians.
confirms once and for all that the woman pictured in She Came for Quick is Megan.
And by the way, that is not Crystal, whose eyes are censored. That is Megan. And just for
Again, Megan,
taking
I am
it
so
up
sorry.
and twisting it around as such.
He describes his simple and wholesome wish for the future.
If I ever do find the one that is to be my sweetheart, I will give her such care, such tenderness, such love. We get around to hanky-panky, that's fine. That's good. We get married. I will have my God-called daughter. She will be taken care of lovingly. Those of you who mock me otherwise with such frivolous, lucrative adultery, if I ever hear any more new stuff, it will weigh on your conscience with me tearing at your souls emotionally.
This poor bastard just like literally
Not
just
that
putting
way
a
on your
bullseye on him.
conscience. For those of you who have already done so or are thinking about doing it, I am not a pedo fork, you dorks!
What?
I'll leave you with any other thoughts that you may have. But if you dare twist these words around, that will weigh worse on your conscience. The words that I provide from sound mind and heart, it will weigh heavily on you. It will weigh heavily on you.
2 days later, the Chris Chan page was declared Article of the Now on Encyclopedia Dramatica. The following day, Chris emailed Bill O'Reilly from Fox News, Dateline NBC, and NBC Nightly News about his conflict with Encyclopedia Dramatica, apparently for the second time. I wish to re-report the heinous webpage of worst levels of mockery against me. This webpage has been haunting me since it originated around Halloween 2007. I have previously reported it, but no response. He implicated Jason Kendrick Howell as the creator of the page and declared him the head troll and directed the majority of his hate towards him. He also recorded another video urging all fans of Sonichu to help take down the ED page under the impression that he had more fans than he actually did.
Attention, all Sonichu fans on the internet who do not hate me, Christian Weston Chandler. For I have an important message for y'all. If y'all would actually like me to bring up new stuff for Sonichu and conclude the stories, you can do so by having that Encyclopedia Dramatica page taken down so that I can feel more comfortable in drawing and coloring the comics that y'all have grown to love. If you want to send all your complaints for me not doing the work I should be doing, you can send every last complaint to the one called Jason Kendrick Howe, also known as Howe Games or Liquid Snake. For he is, and I quote in an email he sent me, the creator of the Encyclopedia Dramatica ED page for me.
He urges everyone to send their hate to Kendrick Howell.
And that's for you, Jason Kendrick Howe. As sure as I am to get at least 1 ounce of vagina, I have your number, and you're going down.
Oh my
2 days
god.
later, Chris celebrated the apparent fall of ED. In reality, the website was experiencing frequent outages and slow load times due to the increased site popularity.
Ladies and gentlemen on the internet, to all the Sonichu fans, I am pleased to announce that the Encyclopedia Dramatica, not only the web page, but the whole freaking website's going down. And to make sure it definitely goes down and stays down, do not donate any money to that website. Especially if you want to see the more adventures of Sonichu that I am conjuring up in my mind and drawing up.
As a reward for all the hard work his fandom had put in, he previewed unfinished drawings of a Family Guy joke to be featured in Sonichu issue 7.
TV-14, just for the sketch, just like the Family Guy show. Let's go, Ghostbusters! Let's go, let's go, let's go! Let's go, Ghostbusters! Let's go!
He also inserted references to the 1986 Filmation animated series, Ghostbusters, unrelated to the Columbia Pictures movie franchise, nor its subsequent animated adaptation, The Real Ghostbusters.
Well, it's like they had to make that series just to differentiate. I can't talk, I had a tooth
Email
pulled, damn it.
exchanges. Christian found an acquaintance in Robert Simmons V, who was in fact an anti-troll, who gained Chris's trust by supporting his actions and creating a persona that possessed similar personality traits. He even resorted to filming videos announcing his support for Chris and his love for Sonichu, all while touting a yellow-colored Sonic necklace.
Good evening, citizens of YouTube. I must be quiet because it's at night. I don't want to wake up my parents, so please forgive me for not talking loud, and I hope all you can hear me.
In an email dated August 12th, Chris confided in Robert and confessed his adoration for Meg Griffin from Family Guy. She is not ugly. She has always been a beautiful catch in my eyes. I just do not understand how anyone would see Megan as ugly, and I feel it is very pitiful that Seth MacFarlane would make her the punching bag of most everyone else on the show, when clearly she does not deserve such torturous punishment. I am in the same boat as she is, if you think about it. I'm the punching bag of the jerks on ED who are getting their heinous lulz, a rehash of lol, meaning laugh out loud. But in my opinion, lulz means laughs under lucricities, which is obviously not good. He also admitted Robert into his elite list of men whom he does not hate. 3 days later, he recorded and uploaded another video addressed to his supposed fanbase, conceding that Encyclopedia Dramatica has not fallen.
This is an official update to all the loyal Sonichu fans on the internet and everywhere else. Well, first off, while the Encyclopedia Dramatica page, the whole website, they did manage to get their ill-gotten money, but I say, screw them. In the air! Anyway,
he addresses the scheme trolls had to steal his Sonichu medallion.
Well, I have been hearing the rumor of the medallion stealing, as you can see. It's still on me, man. Ain't nobody gonna get it off me, cause more security measures have been taken. This one might be the real one, this one might be the false one.
Oh my god.
How are you to know?
It was made by Crayola Model Magic. Come on, you can make
Chris
another one.
implores his fans to contact Nintendo and Sega about producing Sonichu-related merchandise.
What you can do to see all this in fruition and officially approved distribution, you go to Nintendo.com. If you have an account, or if you don't have an account, you get yourself signed up for free. Talk about Sonichu. Build up more hype in their forums everywhere. Send them emails requesting that they bring them to fruition. They talk to me personally about bringing all that to fruition. Send them the emails, handwritten letters to their official building in Seattle, Washington. Let Nintendo and Sega know about the hype. Send them your personal requests and everywhere. Tell them to talk to me. They both, Nintendo of America and Sega of America, they know my address and my phone number. They have it in their systems. So talk to them, have them talk to me. Bring the Sonichu idea to fruition. And there's the update for now. Thank you for listening.
His ambitious plans activated the imagination of one JK Productions, who launched their own blog, documenting the supposed development of their own Sonichu the game. Chris gave them their full support, unknowingly endorsing an elaborate ruse, with JK being a common acronym for just kidding. On August 19th, a 3-member group created an online female persona by the name of Blanca Weiss, whose name was
we're
simply
finally
derived
getting
from
into
the
this.
Spanish and German words for white. According to her story, she was working on her own comic book and created her own character called Jigglyami, a singing Pokemon based on Jigglypuff. She relayed this information to Chris via email and encouraged him to have her featured in a future Sonichu issue. Chris was beyond impressed with her and later made a full-body color drawing of Jigglyami, which he wanted to send to her home address, but she declined. In order to gain her trust, Christian talked about himself, copying and pasting large sections from his various social media accounts. In return, the trolls sent him this photograph as evidence of the veracity of her character, and talked more about her backstory. Chris admitted that she was growing on him. By the next day, he was already working on a scene in the comic starring Jigglyami. Blanca retorted with the lyrics for a song meant to be performed by Jigglyami. He let her know that he was almost finished Sonichu issue 7, and that he would feature Blanca and Robert Simmons in a special interview segment. Chris mentioned that he helped Robert overcome some problems regarding his own love quest, such as abandoning the idea of an attraction sign. I later realized that a sign made me look retarded, so I stopped long time ago. I suggested he try to put himself in the center of an open area and try some Axe body spray,
Oh my
he stated,
god.
under the impression that the actual Axe body spray would have the same result as is demonstrated in their infamous ad campaign. The only thing about him that I feel different about, his version of my medallion. I don't know how to describe the way I feel about it, but from looking at it, I'm like, oi, or, oh my god. I think you can understand, but please do not tell him that I said that. Sonichu issue 7 picks up where issue 6 left off, with Chris and Megan on the basketball court chatting with Bionic, who thanks Megan for setting him up with Megaji. Bionic and Megaji's displays of affection almost bring Christian to tears, because it reminds him of his loneliness and virginity, but is comforted by Megan. They ask Magi-chan and Sonichu about pinpointing the location of the Sonichu balls, which by now are being referred to as Sonichu crystals, due to numerous comments made by trolls highlighting the homoerotic nuance of the term balls. They determined that one crystal might have been lost in the past, and if they found the one who touched it last, they would know where to find it. Magi-chan realizes that at the exact
He
instant
drew himself
he
with
first
such
saw
a
the Bionic
defined
the Hedgehog
chin.
in 1996, he was hit in the head by what he thought was a basketball, but it was actually a Sonichu crystal. Christian randomly transitions into a Family Guy-style sketch and gives Seth MacFarlane full permission to implement this idea in a future episode of Family Guy. The sketch in question is the one that was previewed in a video, in which Chris, stylized as Family Guy's Peter Griffin, is incorporated into the setting of Filmation's Ghostbusters cartoon. Ironically, his witty reimagining of himself bears far more resemblance to his actual appearance than his official comic book persona. Magi-chan says that he can bring Chris and Sonichu back to 1996 to retrieve the crystal, so he encapsulates the three into a time sphere that brings them back to Chris's time in Manchester High School. Their arrival is witnessed by Kelly Andes. Current-day Chris happens upon 14-year-old Chris, who has a conversation with Joseph Herring, depicted as having an acne-ridden face. despite all known photos showing him clear-skinned and handsome. Chris is hit in the head by the crystal, and Sonichu discreetly catches it, avoiding any possible temporal tampering. Beavis and Butthead is also briefly
Oh my
referenced.
god.
They proceed to bring the crystal back to the present day, but the time sphere abruptly stops, flinging Chris out of it. Magichan comes to the conclusion that Chris is lost. Shenmue stopped. The crystal's power made him
Hey,
able to
you know,
pass through
people
my
say
sphere.
what you want about
The
this
crystals
guy.
activated like rockets upon his
He's a
first
goddamn
stop,
genius when it comes
and
to
he was propelled
storytelling.
into the void of time. There is nothing we can do for him right now. All we can do is wait for a time warp to pen, and if I sense his presence at that moment, there is a chance I can go in and retrieve him. The time warp may open at any random time in the future. Christian's self-imposed exclusion from the storyline was in order to satisfy the numerous people online telling him that the Sonichu comics primarily focused on Chris rather than the eponymous hero. Sonichu informs Rosechu of the situation, stating that he will survive and will be in a sense watching over them like God. They embrace, with Chris depicting Rosechu's panties under her skirt, in order to defy all claims that he was homosexual. Meanwhile, in the time void, Chris possibly absorbs the two crystals into his hands, which cause his mind to flood with memories from his recent real-life past, which clash with the thoughts of the comic book Chris, drawing the episode to a close. The comic segues into a special section devoted to the goings-on of the KCWC radio station, hosted by DJ Jamsta Sonichu and his girlfriend Lalisa Rosechu. He interviews Jigliami and her cute manager Blanca. Jigliami is portrayed with a medallion bearing her likeness around her neck. Lalisa then conducts an in-depth interview with Robert Simmons V.
God, some of these people, like, they remind me of regular show
On
characters.
the day issue 7 was released, Christian finished drawing the cover for the Spring Break Special Issue 8, which he sent to Blanca. For this issue only, he changed the name of the comic to Rosechu. Towards the end of August, Evan Christopher George uploaded a Sonichu-related creation, which he called Simonchu, which, according to his official biography, was originally a Pikachu that was raised by a swarm of Pokemon called Beedrill. Despite the drills in lieu of hands design bearing resemblance to that of Beedrill, the character's name, Red Goggles, and Drills are derived from Simon, who is seen in the anime series Gurren Lagann. Evan decided to email his creation to Chris, in the hopes of being included in a future issue of Sonichu. However, Chris rejected the idea, instead adapting the character into a new ground bug-type female creation called Simone La Rosechu, mistaking Simonchu's goggles for infrared eyelids and his cape for a shell. 2 days later, Christian uploaded a video describing his role in the development of the Sonichu video game by JK Productions, still under the impression that it was a legitimate practice.
Alright, well, first
Oh
off,
my god, he literally stole an idea from someone. You
as,
son of a bitch.
Suggested by my associates who are in on the Sonichu game that's in development. I'm still thinking about the story very much. I got a big chunk of the stories in my head. It's gonna be like multiple stories, like we'll go through multiple characters, all the original Sonichu and Rosechu hedgehogs. That's one idea. Yeah. So once we get the game project off the ground, hopefully with the assistance of Nintendo of America and Sega of America, there will definitely be the release of the official Sonichu merchandise, including officially released and distributed, manufactured medallions for one thing, copies of my CWC on TV DVD that you've seen only a few bits of on the YouTube and such, and as well as possible Sonichu action figures.
He mentions that the Sonichu comic will once again be focused on Sonichu, and that Chris will eventually return only to retire as mayor of Quickville and give himself a smaller role in the story. He then continues to elaborate on the storyline of the game.
And then we go on to Bubbles. Remember the Bubbles? Bubbles is the bubbly one! Anyway, yeah. She'll get more wet. All the hedgehogs go through all the same levels, except variation. Bubbles will mostly be able to swim. Somewhat underwater versions of those levels. And a Jug, she'll be flying high, casting off wing attacks against the enemies in her story.
He reveals that Black Sonichu's name will change, possibly as a response to the backlash he had received due to the racial connotations of the name.
Also, for short. For Black Shoe was Black Shoe. I'm changing it. For his nickname, as it will be revealed in the upcoming Spring Break issue. Hey man, have fun on Spring Break! He will prefer to be called Blake. Simply Blake. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, Blake's partnered around with Bubbles. But Bubbles likes to try to think that she can keep it to herself. Like, she has like, ooh, she turned on by the dark
God,
side.
you're literally making comics about Pokemon
And all the
hedgehogs
nuttiness that
fucking.
Blake will want to bring with him.
He talks about Blanca and her involvement in his personal and creative life.
It's nice to know that I actually do have a good gal pal that I've made over the internet recently, who's inspired character. She was inspired by me. Her inspired character, I've given my full approval of and introduced in the comic I just uploaded to what is now can also be considered to be Sideshoe.net. Nothing but net. Screw your com, I got the net. Yeah. And she herself is the original character of the new bubblegum pop star. Jiggly yummy! Jiggly yummy! Yeah. So, like, it's possible she and I might actually meet in the future, but, alright, so anyway, that's the, update. Be sure you go to, sideshoegame.blogspot.com to, talk to my associates over at JK Productions. I don't have any future plans as of this point, but, I think I'll feel better with my future set when I have my sweetheart. So, thank you very much, every one of you, for your patronage. And I hope you all have a pleasant day.
Christian's newfound infamy brought him much stress and hardship, with him hardly being able to cope with the constant barrage of trolling, getting ever more challenging to discern what was false and what was real, what was an advice and what was an insult. But he still had his principles, his dreams and ambitions, to see himself through the most trying period of his life.
Is this the end? Oh my god. The time when I watch these, it just flies by, man. Okay, alright, okay. So that was part 5. It's finally getting up to the internet part. Well, I mean, it's at the internet part now, but it's finally to the more well-known Christian stuff. Yeah, man. Alright, so, like I said earlier in the video, I did get a chance to speak to Megan today. Hold on. I hide my messages. Here we go. Okay, so basically I messaged her on her, it was accidentally, but I messaged her on her business page because apparently she's in business now, and I'm like, cool. And she asked me to talk to her on her normal page, so I did. I found her. And I asked her, so I'm sure that you know what I want to talk about, things from past events. And she said, oh yeah, Chris. And I told her, like, I'm very drawn into the story. I've been covering it on YouTube, and I figured it'd be cool if I could contact you to see how things, like, how you feel about it nowadays. She goes, well, honestly, I don't follow his antics at all. I've seen a few recent things from someone alerts me that he's doing things regarding me or whatever. And I asked her, well, were you ever really friends, or did you just feel pity for him? And she said, no, I'd say despite his advances, it was a good friendship. He was a lot of fun to converse with. People think that I was using him for things, which I've heard. A lot of people say that she's just using him to buy things for. But it's been like 15 years. What would she gain from lying from this? People think that I've been just using him for things, and I have always present him gifts for his birthday or Christmas. Things from eBay, I would either give him cash or like give me a trade for mangas or DVDs or whatever. And I said, did you ever think you two would reunite? Do you feel about... I'm tired. How do you feel about being a part of all this and having a fan base? And she said, I didn't know I had fans too. You do. Personally, I think it's best to stay away and not be involved with him again. I said, yeah, you have a fan base, and you're definitely the saddest part of the story, in my opinion. I do genuinely believe that. Now, I know a lot about some of the upcoming stuff that's coming for him, but I will say Megan was the part where it started going downhill. She was the beginning of the snowball effect, and I think that's when the rock bottom starts to come, if you know what I mean. Because that was like the last real friend he had before he fucked it all up. Okay, where was I at? But comparing him now, I'd say he was definitely more normal during my time with him. That's saying something. How many others have contacted you over this? Oh, I couldn't keep count. It's always been through Facebook as well as XC. It's always half and half of condolences and trolls, means trying to get a reaction or reply out of me. I told her I was just fascinated by the whole thing. I am happy to have contacted you and have you take time to take part in this. And she didn't mind. I was very awesome. I was very like, damn, that's cool. I was always wanting to interview, or I'm sorry, I was wanting to interview her on Discord so I can record her voices talking about it, but I honestly didn't think she would know how to use Discord. I'm not saying anything bad, it just she was a little bit older than me. I don't know. It just also it was like 9:30 in the morning, so I told her I was sorry to bother her and understand this might be affecting your life in a negative way because I understand about the artwork and stuff. And she said, well, not necessarily. I made a couple really close friends because of it. I think there's a misconception out there that the whole thing traumatized me, which isn't the case at all. That's good. That was actually something I was curious about. And I asked her if she still enjoys Sailor Moon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and My Little Pony. She said, I have a Sailor Moon collection, but I don't actively collect it anymore. It's been both a hobby and an investment. A few dolls I have sell on eBay now for $500 each. As for Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and MLP, My Little Pony, I sold those off years ago, although I still play 3DS games and have a few Pikachu plush, but I'm not into the whole anime fandom thing. Okay, fair enough. I asked her, do you still remain in Virginia, or did you escape? She said she's still in Virginia, and she has done some traveling around and overseas. So then she told me that she was going to go take her dogs, or go feed her animals, and I said that was fine. But then I just went ahead and said, hey, let's just postpone the rest of this, and we'll just finish up tomorrow or like another date. Yeah. There's so much more I want to find out, and I want to see like what all she's willing to discuss. But if you're interested in, I wouldn't say contacting because I don't want anybody to like really harass this woman, let her live her life. If you were interested in buying one of her forest things, I didn't actually really take the time to look at these. They're kind of cool. Yeah, but if you're interested in like buying one of these, I'd say contact her. They look pretty interesting. You know, some people like have a thing for cute animals, and I think I might just buy one just to promote. So thank you, Megan. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this stuff today. Hopefully we can continue this and get a little bit deeper into it. But all right, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Drop me a like, subscribe, help me out, and I will see you guys for part 6. I can't wait. Good night.